My name is Judith Whitaker. I'm 36 years old, a former surgical nurse from Savannah, Georgia, and for the past 7 years, I've been the wife of Gavin Whitaker, heir to one of the oldest legal dynasties in the South. Everyone said I should feel lucky marrying into his world of polished dinner parties, generational wealth, and generational secrets. But I never quite fit into the tailored mold his family expected. Too quiet, too principled, too unwilling to smile through lies. While Gavin's ex-wife Madeline played the perfect socialite, I was the one picking up our daughter from school, bandaging scraped knees, sitting alone at parent meetings. I used to tell myself I didn't mind being the shadow. But when Gavin told me Lila needed her real mother and handed me a document with a signature I never wrote, I realized the truth. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was strategic. And I was never meant to survive it. The envelope was thick.
White.
Hand-delivered. I found it tucked under the floral placemat at the breakfast nook, where Gavin always left my birthday cards. Inside, a legal document titled Voluntary Custodial Transfer. My name was on every page. My signature, too. I never signed it. Gavin, I called, voice razor-thin. What the hell is this? He didn't flinch. Didn't even look up from his espresso. Lila needs stability. Madeline's offered a better environment. Structured. Safer.
His words were ice.
You forged my signature. He sighed, like a father indulging a hysterical child. Judith, come on. We've both known this marriage has run its course. Let's not make this messier than it has to be. I wanted to scream, but something colder settled in my gut. A silence, louder than rage. He wasn't just dismissing me, he was discarding me. Above the signature line on the last page was a notary seal, dated last Thursday. I was in Charleston last Thursday, visiting my aunt in hospice. I stepped back. Where's Lila? She's with Madeline, he said calmly. She needed the weekend transition. My breath stopped. You took her without telling me? She didn't cry, he added, as if that was mercy. She was ready. I turned, stormed to the living room, opened my laptop. Password denied. Wrong again. My bank app?
Locked.
Cloud storage?
Gone.
Phone pinged. Unknown number. 3 days left. Then the paper becomes permanent. I froze. Looked around. Something felt off. The painting above the mantel. Too new. I climbed the armchair, pried it loose. A tiny black glinted from behind the frame.
A camera. A camera.
I smashed it with the heel of my hand. Gavin didn't move from the kitchen. Smile for the house, Judith, he said without looking. We have a lot to remember. My hands shook. I typed faster. File directory. Buried deep in the system. Whitaker plan, final docs. I clicked. Password protected. I didn't need to see it. I knew. This wasn't a divorce. It was a takedown. A silent execution. Gavin's footsteps came behind me. Slow. Confident. You always said you wanted peace, Judith. Well, here it is. I turned, fist clenched. There's a difference between peace and being erased. He tilted his head. Then disappear quietly. I stepped outside. Rain starting. The driveway was empty.
No Lila.
No car. No options. I stood in the cold, stared at the tall hedges, the neighbors' lights glowing behind drawn curtains. No one watching. Or maybe everyone was. Inside, my phone vibrated again. Same number. Unknown number. You're not the only one being watched. If I don't act now, I won't just lose my daughter. I'll lose myself. At 3:47 a.m., I was in the garage with bolt cutters and a cold plan. Gavin slept like the guilty always do, deep and unbothered. The house was quiet, but not empty. Every room felt rigged. Every shadow watched. I snipped the lock on the basement storage unit.
Dust.
Old tennis rackets. My emergency binder still there. Birth certificates. Copies of Lila's vaccination records. My passport. I opened the metal box taped under the drawer. Burner phone, prepaid SIM, 2 flash drives. I'd prepped for fire. Never thought it would be my home.
Cutscene.
I was in the car now, parked 3 blocks away under a dying streetlight. I fired up the burner. No signal. Of course not. Signal jammers. Gavin used them for privacy. I drove until the phone buzzed alive. First call. Marin Ortiz. Former federal investigator. Now a solo practitioner. The only person I ever trusted who knew how to dismantle monsters like Gavin. Judith, she answered sharp. I need extraction, I said. He forged custody papers. Took Lila. There's a trust involved.
Million.
Silence. Then, where are you? Somewhere I shouldn't be. She didn't ask more. That's why I called her. I'll be at the old place in 30.
Cutscene.
The old place was a downtown Savannah duplex Marin used during surveillance ops. Cold walls.
Thicker blinds.
The kind of place where secrets could rot in peace. We sat at opposite ends of a folding table. She wore black. Always did. Said it made her forgettable. Useful. She reviewed the photos I took of the document. Zoomed in on the seal. This notary died 6 months ago, she said. I blinked. What? Your signature is notarized by a dead man. That's not just fraud, Judith. That's premeditated forgery. Whoever did this was counting on no one checking. Gavin. She didn't nod. Didn't need to. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She pulled up court records. My name. Custody hearings. All sealed. He paid someone. Or he is someone.
Cutscene. Laptop pinget.
Transfer scheduled Monday morning, she read aloud. Custody to be reviewed in chambers, Judge Dawson. My stomach dropped. Dawson? As in Madeline's cousin. Family law. Known for expedited cases. How is that legal? Marin looked up. It's not. It's engineered. Something inside me cracked. Not panic. Not rage. Focus. If they get that approval, I'm done.
No appeals. No reversal. Just.
Gone. Marin nodded. They're moving fast for a reason. Probably the trust. I leaned forward. What trust? Children's trust for high-net divorce cases. If custody is fully transferred to Madeline, and Gavin is co-parent, they control access. How much? 3 million. Maybe more. I stared at the wall. So, this was never about Lila. Marin tilted her head. It rarely is.
Cutscene.
My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Check your daughter's school file. Something's missing. The message vanished before I could screenshot. Marin tracked the IP. Masked. Routed through 3 foreign servers. We're not the only ones watching, she muttered. I called the school next morning. Posed as my own assistant. Asked for Lila's file. No medical records. No emergency contacts. Gavin had erased me from her education history. The administrator paused. Are you still on her pickup list? I didn't answer. Mrs. Whitaker? I'll call back, I whispered, then hung up. I sat in the parked car outside the school, engine off. Rain tapped the windshield like slow footsteps. I used to believe the worst betrayals were obvious. Turns out the quiet ones get you cleaner.
Cutscene.
Back at home, I pretended to be normal. Gavin stood by the espresso machine, humming some jazz tune. I asked, "Where's Lila?" He smiled. Resting. She's had a long week. I walked upstairs, knowing the nursery would be empty. It was. I opened her closet. Half her clothes were gone. Toys missing. A stuffed fox sat on her pillow. A note pinned to its ear. She's adapting fast. Better than you.
No signature.
I sat on the floor, breathing in silence. My hands curled into fists. You never escape clean. You just decide what's worth burning behind you. I whispered. Footsteps downstairs. Gavin laughing on the phone. I crawled to the floor vent. He was talking to someone. Male voice muffled. They're both gone by Monday. Judith won't fight. She's not a fighter. She folds. I stood. Wrong again, Gavin. They're not planning to take her. They're planning to erase me. The sky cracked open at 5:12 a.m. thunder.
No rain.
Savannah held its breath, like I did. I packed one duffel.
No noise. No hesitation. Passport.
Burner.
Cash.
Lila's drawing of the three of us at the beach, torn down the middle, taped back together. Like us.
Like me.
I walked past Gavin's study. The door was ajar.
Light on.
His laptop open. A spreadsheet on screen. Line items labeled Berlin. Custody final. Legal trust. Activated upon maternal forfeiture. Maternal forfeiture. This wasn't loss. It was liquidation.
Cut scene.
Backyard. The sprinklers hissed like snakes as I reached the shed. I ripped up the false bottom of the garden crate. My Glock still there.
Dry.
Loaded. Never draw unless you intend to fire. I didn't intend to miss. A car pulled up in front. Black. Idling. License plate covered in mud. I ducked, heart pounding. Not fear. Anticipation. A figure stepped out. Not Gavin. Taller. Bulkier. Civilian clothes but stiff. I memorized everything. Movement. Shoes. The way he tapped twice on the driver's side window before vanishing around the hedge.
No knock. No doorbell.
Just pressure. Pressure always leaves bruises, some you don't see. Till later.
Cut scene.
Marin's safe house. Again. She brewed black coffee like it was a war ration. Got something, she said, sliding her phone across the table. A photo. Madeline at an airport, holding Lila's hand. Timestamp. 9:42 p.m. last night. Savannah International? Marin shook her head. Private strip. Unregistered flight. Destination unknown. I gripped the edge of the table. She's gone.
Not yet, Marin replied.
We have a window.
Barely.
But we need leverage. Then we make it.
Cut scene.
I drove back to the house while Marin ran interference. Inside, the air felt wrong.
Too still.
Too staged. Every lamp lit. The alarm was disarmed. Gavin had left something for me. On the dining table, a sealed envelope. No name. Inside, one document. A power of attorney.
Signed.
Dated. Witnessed by a firm I didn't recognize. It gave Madeline full medical authority over Lila. I stumbled back like it burned. Medical. Custody wasn't just for control, it was for cover. I checked my phone. New message from the same unknown number. If you want to stop the flight, come alone.
No caps.
No games. Pier 7. Midnight. Pier 7. The industrial shipping port.
No lights. No cameras.
Perfect place for bodies and betrayals.
Cut scene.
I parked 2 blocks away. Tucked the gun under my belt. Wore dark jeans.
No jewelry. No hesitation.
Marin called. You sure? No one else is coming, I said. You know it's a trap. Then I'll spring it. Pier 7 smelled like rust and wet concrete. Fog rolled in off the water, swallowing sound. I moved fast. Kept my back to the metal containers. Then I saw them.
2 men.
Standing near a black SUV. One woman. Blonde. Expensive coat. Madeline. And next to her, Lila.
Sleepy. Pale.
Holding a stuffed fox. I stepped out of the dark. Madeline turned. Smiled like we were meeting for brunch. You're early, she said. You're sick, I replied. She laughed. Judith, you were always so dramatic. I walked closer. You used to love her, I said. Before the money. Before the fund. She tilted her head. Love?
No.
I loved what she represented. You never deserved her. And you never understood the game. I stepped forward.
10 feet now.
You shouldn't have brought her here. Madeline raised a hand. The 2 men moved. I drew.
Fast.
First man dropped. Bullet to the leg. Second pulled back. Hesitated.
Do it, she snapped.
He didn't. His eyes locked on mine. He backed away. Madeline lunged. I caught her arm. Slammed her against the hood. You thought I'd break? I hissed. You thought I'd run? She spit near my boot. You're too late. Gavin already won.
No, I whispered.
I haven't even started. Lights flashed. Marin's voice over loudspeaker. Federal agents. Hands where I can see them. Lila screamed. I scooped her into my arms. She clung to me. Mommy, I've got you, I whispered. Madeline snarled as cuffs snapped over her wrists. She shouted through gritted teeth. He lied to you too. You think this ends with me?
No.
The real monster has always been in my bed. The cell walls were beige. Quiet. Federal holding, not county. Madeline sat across from me in cuffs, perfectly composed. You think this is the end, she said softly. It's just the diversion. I leaned in. Then give me the main event. She smirked. You always underestimated Gavin. That's your flaw, Judith. You keep thinking this is personal. It's business. It always was.
Cut scene.
Outside, the clouds broke open over Chatham County. The car windows fogged. Lila slept in the back seat, her face pale, hands clutched tight around her stuffed box. Marin slid into the driver's seat beside me. We got a name.
Who?
She handed me a printed report. Black and white photo, DMV format.
Marcos Elivitaque.
Deceased.
2018, auto-accident.
You're kidding. She shook her head.
Fake.
The death certificate was filed by a shell funeral home tied to one of Gavin's shell companies. I stared at the paper. Gavin's own cousin. Declared dead. Quietly removed from the picture. Marin continued. Marcus ran numbers. Financial forensics. He found something in the trust. Gavin buried him before he could talk. Or tried to.
Cut scene.
We tracked the last ping from the burner Gavin used to communicate with the men at the pier. It led us to a junkyard on the outskirts of Waycross. Rusted semis. Scavenger dogs. No one in sight. But there was movement inside the largest trailer. We stepped in. Guns drawn. The man inside had a beard now. Limp. Mismatched shoes. But the eyes were familiar. Marcus. He blinked at me. Took you long enough. Cut scene. You were dead.
I was bought, he said.
Gavin told me it was temporary. He'd clear my name, give me a new identity. Instead, he vanished. Paid off the only people who knew I existed. I've been living in the crawl space of his lies ever since. Marin stared. Why come forward now? He looked at Lila's photo in my hand. Because she's a pawn. And I was the first one on the board. He handed us a flash drive. Everything's here. All the payments. Every offshore transfer. Names of the judges. Even Madeline's cut.
Cut scene.
We drove in silence. Marin inserted the drive. The files opened. I watched the numbers dance on screen.
Iden LLCS. Signature overlay.
And a document titled Whitaker Reset, Contingency Protocol. I opened it. It wasn't a legal plan. It was a blueprint for erasing identities. Guardianship shifts. Legal name changes. School records, bank accounts, birth certificates. A clean slate. Gavin doesn't just want custody, I said, breath catching. He wants to reprogram her life. Marin leaned forward. He's moving. He knows you're coming. Then we go louder.
Cut scene.
That night, we staged a fire at the Whitaker estate. Smoke rose. Sirens screamed. While first responders distracted security, Marin and I slipped in through the rear garden. Gavin wasn't home, but his study was warm. On his desk, 3 plane tickets.
Berlin. Madrid. Dubai.
I rifled drawers. A hidden compartment under the bottom panel.
Click.
Inside, cash. A thumb drive. A burner. And a contract. A sealed guardianship assignment. Naming Gavin as sole parent, claiming Judith Whitaker to be mentally unfit due to emotional instability. Dated tomorrow. I stared at my own name under the header Incompetent Party. They were planning to commit me. Marin read my face. He wants you locked away. Powerless. No, I said. Invisible. Footsteps in the hall. We froze.
Door creaked.
Marcus stepped in, breath ragged. They followed me.
Who?
Marin asked. He didn't answer. The hallway light flickered. A red danced across the far wall.
Sniper.
I shoved the desk over. Glass shattered. Bullets ripped into the bookshelves. We crawled behind the couch, breath tight, hearts louder than the gunfire. Outside, a second engine revved. They weren't just watching. They were ready to kill.
Cutscene.
We escaped through the greenhouse, broke the back latch, ran through hedges into the dark. Marcus collapsed near the fence, bleeding from the arm. Marin dragged him. I drove. Every second felt borrowed. Every breath counted. I glanced at Lilo in the mirror. Still safe. But not for long. I'm not running anymore. This time, I hunt them back. The ballroom at the Whitaker Foundation's charity gala was dressed in gold and glass. Crystal chandeliers, strings of white lights, violins humming a lullaby of distraction. Distraction always precedes the strike. I wore black, floor-length, sleeveless, anonymous enough to serve, bold enough to disappear. A catering badge hung from my neck. Marin slipped it to me 15 minutes before doors opened. She'd already planted the wireless mics. I crossed the floor with a tray of flutes. Every table had a senator, a judge, or someone paid to own one. I recognized faces. Not from family holidays, but from court transcripts. Closed-door approvals. Quiet custody handovers. A system built on favors disguised as procedure.
Cutscene.
Gavin stood near the podium, smiling that disarming smile, dressed like the respectable villain he was. Beside him, a woman I hadn't seen before. Sharp suit. Cold eyes. Marin whispered through my earpiece, "That's the new board chair. Wexler. Finance. She moves the money." I moved closer. Gavin raised a glass. "We're here tonight for the children," he said, voice steady, benevolent. "For structure. Stability. Family." Every word was a blade. Marin's voice again. "He's setting the stage for the announcement." I slipped into the service corridor. Found the door marked staff only. Slid inside. Madeline's name was on a locked file cabinet in the corner. I picked it. Inside, printed copies of legal amendments, trust updates, and a thumb drive labeled Reset Beta. I pocketed it.
Cutscene.
Back on the floor, Gavin toasted again. Cameras flashed. I leaned against the wall, staring at him. "Some people wear masks so well," I whispered. "They forget they ever had a face." He caught my eye. For a second, the mask slipped. He knew I was here. His expression didn't change, but his body shifted. Alert. Then he walked off stage.
Cutscene.
Marin intercepted him near the service elevator. They talked for less than a minute. She handed him a sealed envelope, fake documents forged to buy us time. He scanned them, nodded, dismissed her, then whispered something to a security guard. I caught the signal. He was about to run. I bolted back to the office, plugged the drive into Marin's laptop. Dozens of folders opened. Inside, video files.
Audio.
One labeled DawsonReview.mp4. I clicked play. Judge Dawson. In chambers. Once she's institutionalized, Gavin gains full legal and financial authority. She's unstable. It's in Lila's best interest. Madeline will act as maternal proxy. Everything's already notarized. I hit record on my phone. Captured it.
Cutscene.
Gavin was heading for the back exit. I grabbed a wine bottle and made for the door. He saw me.
Paused.
"Judith," he said calmly, "you shouldn't be here." "You've said that before," I replied. "Every time I got too close." "You have no idea what you're interfering with."
Oh, Ido.
"That's why I came dressed for war." He laughed softly. "You think this is war?"
No.
"I think it's legacy. And you just set yours on fire."
Cutscene.
Security moved. Gavin gestured. I stepped back into the hallway, where Marin stood, phone held high. Live stream. The video played over every device in the room. Judge Dawson's voice echoed across the ballroom. Panic followed. Guests stood. Phones lit up like wildfire. Gavin turned pale. "You recorded that?" he hissed. Every damn word. The crowd began to shift. News crew cameras turned. Gavin tried to run. He didn't get far. Federal agents poured in from every entrance. Wexler shoved past tables. Marin blocked her path. Going somewhere? She froze. Cameras zoomed.
Cut scene.
I found Lila in the dressing room upstairs, coloring with one of the assistants. She looked up. Mommy? I knelt. We're going home. She held up her drawing. 3 stick figures again. But this time mine was in the middle. Let's go, I whispered. Downstairs, Gavin was cuffed. He met my gaze one last time.
Not I.
Just realization. The real monster has always been in my bed. The docs were quiet. Not silent, quiet in that deliberate way, like a stage before the final act. Moonlight cut across the wet cement. Cargo crates stacked like tombstones.
Cold wind.
Smell of oil and endings. We parked 4 blocks out.
No headlights.
Marcus stitched up his own arm in the back seat. Marin loaded her weapon, double-checked the wire in her collar. Once we go in, there's no play left, she said. There's no play left already, I answered. Cut scene. We entered through a rusted side gate. Followed the access path past the broken lights. The yacht was docked at the far edge of the pier. Black hull, silver trim, private nameplate, Albatross. I'd read somewhere that albatrosses only mate once. Gavin always had a flair for poetic cruelty. 2 guards stood near the boat ramp. One smoked. The other scrolled his phone. Not pros, rent-a-threats. Marin flashed a badge.
Feds.
They folded in seconds. On board, the interior glowed with soft gold lighting. Glass panels. Brushed chrome. A bottle of scotch half empty on the sideboard. Gavin sat at the bar alone. Tie off.
Jacket gone.
His face didn't move when he saw us. You always had a taste for drama, he said. And you always thought you were the smartest man in the room, I replied. He gestured toward the counter. There's a non-extradition clause in Dubai. I had 2 days left. You cut it close. No, I said. I cut it perfect.
Cut scene.
Marin pressed record. The audio streamed directly to the bureau. I slid the folder across the counter. Marcus turned, I said. He gave us everything. The offshore files. The judge list. Your signatures. Gavin raised a brow. Marcus is dead. I smiled. That's the problem with ghosts. They remember everything. He poured himself a drink. Let's say this goes public. Do you really think anyone will care? People care when there's a child involved. His eyes narrowed. She was never yours to protect.
No.
She was mine to raise. And you tried to erase that. He sipped the scotch. Erase, he echoed. I wanted to optimize. You always saw chaos in systems. I see opportunity. I stepped closer. She drew me in the middle this time, I said. In her picture.
Not you.
Not Madeline.
Me.
He laughed. Then lunged. Glass shattered. I fell backward into the cabinet. Marin moved fast, gun raised. Gavin caught her wrist. Slammed her to the floor. I grabbed the first thing I could. Champagne bottle, swung hard. Connected. He dropped. We cuffed him. Marin bled from the cheek, breathing hard. The moment broke with sirens. Pier lights flared. Agents flooded in. Flashlights.
Guns.
Gavin didn't fight. Just stared at me, bleeding from the mouth. You never loved her, I whispered. No, he said. I owned her.
Cut scene.
It took 7 hours to file the full report. 3 judges arrested. 1 plane seized. The trust was frozen. Every asset flagged. Marcus disappeared that night. Marin said she didn't blame him. I'd vanish too if I had to watch monsters for a living. Lila and I stayed in a small cabin upstate for the next few months. Snow fell early. The firewood cracked like it was trying to speak. One morning she asked, "Are we safe now?" I didn't lie. We're safer. She nodded, kept coloring. Her new drawing had no stick figures. Just a tree, a house, a fox, and a woman standing tall in the center. No names. Just strength. Some people think justice is about punishment. It's not. It's about reclaiming the pieces of yourself they tried to erase. They took everything from me. So, I took everything with me.